Okay, so Assalamualaikum and again, good morning. So in this session, we will have an overview of the accounting cycle of a government entity. So at a glance, it is as follows. So first, there is the appropriation. Second, the allotment. Third, the incurrence of obligation. Fourth, disbursement authority, the receipt of the notice of cash allocation. The fifth, the disbursements, the incurrence of our disbursements. 6, we have the billings, collections, and remittances. 7, the preparation of our unadjusted trial balance. 8, we prepare the adjusting entries if there are any. 9, we close the entries, closing entries. And lastly, 10, the preparation of financial statements. So, government accounting cycle is just like the basic accounting cycle that we have discussed in a business entity. It's just that there are different specific account titles and chart of account codes and different recording of transactions and events. So we have here a comprehensive problem for the government accounting cycle. So we are required to record the following transactions and events. If no journal entry is needed, state the registry or other document where the transaction or event is recorded. So this is for the first transaction. So SUC received its notice of appropriation for personal services, $650,000, maintenance and other operating expenses, $750,000, and capital outlays of $1 million, totaling to $2.4 million. So we do not record this transaction, but rather we post this to the appropriate RAPAL. So again, what is RAPAL? RAPAL is the Registry of Appropriations and Allotments. So we record that to the appropriate column for PS, MOOE, no FE for this problem, and CO. So that is for the receipt of the GAA. Okay, so next, we received allotment from DBM for personal services, $640,000, MOOE, $725,000, and capital outlays, $950,000. Total amounted to $2,315,000. So again, we do not journalize this transaction, but rather we post this to the appropriate, again, RAPAL, and to the appropriate RAOD. So again, RAOD, the registries of allotments, obligations, and disbursements. So sa RAPAL natin, we have recorded a while ago the appropriation. So on the allotment column, we will record this one, the receipt of allotment. So still on that specific column for PS, MOOE, and CO, and of course the total. Okay, we will also record this to the RAOD. So there are 3 RAODs involved here, the RAOD PS, RAOD MOOE, and RAOD CO. So in the RAOD PS, we'll record the allotment received on the column of the allotments. No? The same with the maintenance and other operating expenses on the allotment column, and also on the capital outlays on the allotment column. Okay, so next transaction, SUC enters into the following: employee contracts for job orders, staff and contractual faculty, $600,000, purchase contracts for office supplies, $69,000, and purchase contracts for office equipment, $940,000, totaling $1,609,000. So again, take note, enters into the following. So as you see here at this point, only entered 2 contracts. It does not pay actual for the wages, it does not purchase the office supplies, it does not purchase the office equipment, but rather entered into contracts. So we will not journalize this transaction, but rather we will post this to the ORS and to the appropriate RAOD. So ORS, so all obligations that we incurred, we will be issuing the obligation request and status. So that is the ORS, obligation request and status. So the requesting office will prepare this document and we will support that with disbursement voucher, payroll, or job order, or travel itinerary, or whatever. And the head of the requesting office shall certify, the necessity, the legality of these supporting documents, and the head of the budget will certify the availability of the allotment. Thus, in the ORS, there are the signatories there, no? So we have the signatories in our sample ORS, the head of the budgeting division and the head of the requesting office. So again, separate ORS, no? Obligation, request, and status should be prepared for each of the items. So again, these obligations, no obligations we are not yet actual paying, no? So the obligations are recorded in the RAOD. So in the RAOD PS, no? So we recorded a while ago, kanina, the allotment on the allotment column, and today, in this transaction, we'll just post, no, the obligation for 600,000 under the obligation column. For RAOD MOOE, we will post the obligation amounting to 69,000, and on the RAOD co, we will post the obligation amounting to 940,000. So again, we should take note that up to this point, nothing is yet recorded, no, in our accounting books, no. So all the recordings are made on the budget registries. So saka lang tayo mag-journal entries again after the employees have rendered their services, the office supplies are delivered and received, and the office equipment is delivered and received. So again, take note that we will only record in the journal entries if the financial statement elements are affected. So that's the time that an accountable event has occurred. So dapat natin i-record. Okay? So yan ang ano natin. Okay, so next, SUC received its notice of cash allocation from the DBM net of tax for the current year's appropriation, 1,200,000, and for prior year's accounts payable, not yet due and demandable obligations, 26,618, totaling 1,226,618. So now, this is the time that we will make again a journal entry in our accounting books. Why? Because the financial statement and the elements of SUC are now affected. There is an increase in cash and there is an increase in revenue. So therefore, our entry would be as follows. Cash, MDS regular debit, 1,200,000. Credit subsidy from national government, 1,200,000. We also debit for the prior years accounts payable and not yet due and demandable, debit cash, MDS regular, 26,618, credit subsidy from national government, 26,618. Okay, so that's our entry. So again, this would be recorded or posted also in our registries, and that is for our RANCA, the Registry of Allotments and Notice of Cash Allocation. So always remember that RANCA is maintained for each type of fund cluster, as what is the principle of government accounting, separate fund accounting. Okay, so we will record. So we remember that last time we received the allotment, it was the receipt of allotment. We will post that amount in the allotment received actually in RANCA, and on the second column we will record the notice of cash allocation received, which is 1,226,618. Okay, so the next transaction, receipt of delivery of office supplies for agency use from prior years obligation, and that is 200. Okay, so we will recognize the delivery of office supplies by debiting office supplies inventory 200 and crediting accounts payable 200. Next transaction, posted the payable in the obligation request and status. So again, we will record this in the column of section C of the obligation request and status ORS. Okay, so we will just record that one. Okay. Okay, so for our next transaction, we received the current year's purchase and delivery of office equipment for 658,000 and office supplies for 13,800. So we will journalize this one because there's an increase in asset and increase in liability. So we will journalize this in our accounting book. So we debit office supplies inventory 13,800, debit office equipment 658,000, and we credit accounts payable 671,800. So we will record this upon the delivery receipt and the inspection acceptance receipt report. So DRIAR. Okay. So next transaction, we posted the payable in the obligation request and status ORS. So we will record again this in the payable column of section C of the ORS. Then next, we set up payable to officers and employees upon approval of payroll. So we debit the salaries and wages regular, 510,000. We debit PERA, which stands for Personal Economic Relief Allowance of 55,000. And the withholding taxes, so that's due to, so all remittances will be due to. So due to BIR for the withholding taxes, 51,000, due to GSIS, 15,300, due to Pag-ibig, 10,200, due to PhilHealth, 510, and due to our officers and employees, 487,990. So we will post the payable in the ORS. So no journal entry, but rather we post again to the payable column of section C of the ORS. Next transaction, SUC grants cash advance for payroll. So the advances for payroll will be debited 487,990, and we credit cash MDS regular for 87,990. So this is actually the disbursement now for payroll. So we are paying, so we crediting cash. Next transaction, posted the payable in the ORS. So no journal entry, but rather posting to the payment column of section C of ORS and posting to the disbursement column of the RAOD, based on the report of disbursement. Okay, so RAOD PS, So doon mo i-record under the disbursements, the 487,990. Next, we record the liquidation of the payroll fund. So we debit kanina the liability due to officers and employees for 87,990, and we credit advances for payroll for 87,990. So basically, technically, the two accounts are now brought down to zero. So it's both of them are closed. So now we record the payment of our expenses. So we have this following expenses based on the question. So these are the entries. So debit, traveling expenses, local, 4,416. Training expenses, 11,040. Debit water expenses, 1,656. Debit electricity expenses, 8,280. Debit telephone expenses, 1,656. Debit janitorial expenses, 1,104. Debit security expenses, 2,760. Debit rent expenses, 22,080. And we credit the withholding taxes, and that's the entry due to BIR, 2,158. And we credit the cash MDS regular, 50,834. So this 50,834 is the actual cash being paid to the following expenses. Okay, for the next transaction, SUC records payment of accounts payable for current year's accounts payable. So that is for the purchase of office equipment, 526,400, and office supplies of 11,040. So the withholding taxes is 28,200 for office equipment and 591 for office supplies. So our journal entry for this transaction is debit accounts payable, the total 537,540. The due to BIR for the withholding taxes, so just add 28,200 and 591, so we get 28,791. So the remaining is the payment, no? We pay an actual cash, MDS regular, 508,649. So next, records payment for prior year's accounts payable on MOOE amounting to 20,000. So the withholding taxes is 1 to 50. So the same, debit accounts payable 20,000, credit due to BIR 1,250, and credit cash MDS regular for the net of taxes 18,750. Next, we record payment for prior year's obligation on MOOE amounting to 189, net of withholding taxes 11. So the same entry, debit accounts payable 200, credit due to BIR 11, credit cash MDS regular 189. Next, SUC grants cash advance for traveling expenses to Macau of 2,000. So our debit is advances to officers and employees, 2,000, and credit cash MDS regular of 2,000. Okay, next transaction. SUC liquidates cash advance for travel expenses 1,900. So again, take note, 1,900 lang yung liquidated. So we debit traveling expenses foreign 1,900 because this is to Macau. So we have to denote that this is for traveling expenses for foreign. Okay, and we credit advances to officers and employees 1,900. Next transaction, receives and deposits refund of excess cash advance for traveling expenses. So there's an excess of 100 pesos. So we debit cash collecting officer. So ibabalik yun kay cash collecting officer, 100. Credit advances to officers and employees, 100. So at this point, parang na-close na si advances to officers and employees na 2,000. No? Next, we debit cash treasury / agency deposit regular 100, credit cash collecting officers. So to record the remittance of the refund of excess cash advance for travel. Next, we record the remittance of taxes through TRA for the constructive receipt of NCA. So sa personal services, 55,250. Sa MOOE, that's 4,010. And for the capital outlays, that's 28,200. So itong TRA, again, to recap, to refresh, this is used to recognize the constructive remittance of taxes withheld to the BIR, or to the customs of duties, the BOC. And ano yung constructive receipt of NCA for these taxes, and customs duties. So, i-record din ito sa BIR at saka sa Bureau of Customs, the constructive receipt of tax revenue and for the customs duties. And also in the books of the Bureau of Treasury. So, ano ba talaga itong TRA? So, itong TRA is just another form of disbursement authority. So, nire-record natin ito like that of the receipt of our regular NCA. So, credit to subsidy from national government. So that's why we have credit here, national subsidy from national government, 87,460. So this means that SUC has the authority to use these amounts withheld, 87,460 for its operation. So itong amounts used from the TRA will be actually reported by SUC's monthly report of disbursements, So paano natin siya, yung debit natin is cash dash tax remittance advice. So, it is as if lang that SUC remits this cash to the BIR and the Bureau of Treasury. And then, later on, ibabalik naman ng BIR at saka BTR doon para magamit nila yung cash for its operation. But, again, without the cash being physically transferred. So, yun nga, kailangan ito, sinabi ko kanina, para ma-record ng BIR yung receipt nila of the taxes and for the BTR of the remittances of taxes. So, we debit the cash dash tax remittance advice, 87,460, and credit subsidy from national government, 87,460. So, itong 87,460, yung components niya is that 60,685 is for the income tax and 26,775 is for the business tax. So, i-record din natin as if you are remitting this to the BIR. So, debit due to BIR, credit cash, tax remittance advice, 87, 460. Okay. So, sa books naman ng BIR, magre-record siya ng cash dash TRA. So, in that amount, also 87,460 and credit income tax para ma-record niya yung income niya, no? Na 87,460. So, sa Bureau of Treasury naman, magre-record siya ng subsidy debit to NGAs, National Government Agencies of 87,460 and credit cash, TRA. So, nire-record ito ng Bureau of Treasury. So, para ma-record niya yung SUC's Disbursement Authority as a subsidy. No? Kasi parang subsidy ito. Kumbaga, pwedeng gamitin ng SUC for its operations. Okay, so we are down to our last transaction. So, remittance to GSIS, Pag-ibig, and PhilHealth. So, we debit what we credited a while ago. So, we debit due to GSIS, 15,300, due to Pag-ibig, 10,200, due to PhilHealth, 510, and we credit cash MDS regular for the payment for the remittance, 26,010. Next, issuance of supplies and materials to end users, 12,420. So we just debit office supplies expense, 12,420, and we credit office supplies inventory, 12,420. And the last entry would be to recognize reversion for unused NCA, the Notice of Cash Allocation. So, i-reverse lang natin yung receipt of NCA natin. So, kung pag-receive natin ng NCA, we debit cash MDS regular credit subsidy from national government, ibabaliktad lang natin. So, we debit subsidy from national government, credit cash MDS regular. So, the question is how much? Okay, so we received cash MDS regular NCA for 1,200,000 and 26,618. So, that would be a total of 1,226,618. So, for our payments, na nagbabayad tayo ng cash, we paid for the payroll, 487. So, let's continue. 487,990 plus our operating expenses of 50,834 plus our current year's accounts payable, we paid 508,649 plus we paid for our prior year's accounts payable, 18,750 and 189 pesos. We paid for the traveling expenses of 2,000 and we paid for the remittance of GSIS, Pag-ibig, and PhilHealth a while ago, 26,010. So that will give us a total disbursements of 1,094,422. So, our unused is 132,196. So, yan yung i-reverse natin. Okay? So, that would be all for the question number 2. The question number 3 actually is a bonus as it is found in problem. It's actually in the chapter end question, no? So, it's the problem 8 or problem 9. It's problem 7, no? So, the question number 3 is actually just the problem 7 in the textbook that we are using. Okay, so thank you and assalamu alaikum. Have a good day.